All right, welcome everybody. Coach Rich, thanks for being on here. Amide, Ben, Kristen, Logan, Roland, Tanya, Greg, Halil. We're gonna have more people probably come join on as time goes on. What I really wanted to do was first, thank everybody for getting on this. We're gonna do this every day this week from 12 noon Eastern time to 1:30 p.m. Greg Morgan, if you can mute yourself, that'd be great. That way there's no distractions. I'm now going to introduce a very important man in my life and a very important friend, somebody who's become a friend. Coach Rich SADIV, phenomenal background, formerly worked in corporate America and decided that he had more to offer. So Coach Rich SADIV, here's the floor. If you could put your video on, if you're able to, that'd be great. I'm gonna let Ralph in. He came on just in time to see you perform.
All right, let me see. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. Not sure if my video's on or not.
Not yet, no.
Oh, you know what? I'm not going to delay any further, so I'm just going to speak over this because obviously I'm not a real big Zoom guy. Most of my actions are done in person, one-on-one. I really don't come from a Zoom culture background, unfortunately. But as long as everybody can hear me, what I have to say, I think is more than enough. I'm not sure if I'm going to say something that everyone here already doesn't know. You know, everything to be successful, or most things to be successful, everyone knows what to do. It's a matter of executing it. And really what I want to go over really briefly today in this introduction is, 7 key things and strategies on how I've found to execute these 7 different things. And again, this is not going to be earth-shattering stuff, at least I don't think. But for the most part, the execution of a lot of these things is a little bit tougher than me just saying the word. So without no further ado, we'll talk about time first. I always hear people, "Oh, I'm too busy. I'm so busy." This, that, and the other thing. But really, what you need to do is master your time. There's 168 hours in a week. You have to be able to budget and basically prioritize those 168 hours. Also, take time for what it's worth. It's very, very precious. Not just your time, but any client you might be meeting or anything that you're doing. If you have an appointment, treat time for what it's worth, which is very, very precious. And I like to say I'd rather be 15 minutes early 1,000 times than late once. And one of the things I've done to really manage my time personally is, I schedule everything out. I write down on a piece of paper. And if it's something where it's a physical activity, I'm not sitting there with a timer. But say, for instance, I'm going to do like emails. So I'll have a kitchen timer, 20 minutes on emails, 20 minutes of writing, 20 minutes of planning. Break it down to where basically you almost gamify the time that you have control over. Because without that, sometimes, you can find yourself, let's use this word I hate to use, overwhelmed by how much time there is or lack thereof. But we really realize it. There is 168 hours. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you're sleeping 7 hours a night. So basically, you got 120 hours to work with. If we really peel back the onion, we would find a lot of people aren't super productive with those 120 hours, or those that are real productive with that time, they never say, "Wow, I don't have enough of time," or "Wow, I'm overwhelmed." So the first thing really is you want to become a master of time. That leads us into our second key word, which would be routine. Find a routine. Me personally, what I do is, this is going to sound crazy. I get up an hour earlier than I need to every single morning. So I got to leave my house. I get out of my house at 5. So today, on Mondays, I get up at 3. I get 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have a routine. First thing I do is I get up, I shower, I make my coffee, and then I sit with my thoughts for an hour with my cup of coffee in my rocking chair, and I just sit with my thoughts. You want to call it self-meditation, you want to call it planning, whatever you want to call it, it's become a big part of my routine. And I found this to be very, very important. Once you leave your home, especially first thing in the morning, you do lose control over time and routine to a certain extent. So before, if you're ahead of the traffic, so to speak, you have control over routine, over time. So I've gotten into the pattern of getting up, a routine of getting up an hour earlier than I need to really plan out my day. I want to call it meditating, so be it. But I found that that hour is probably my favorite hour of the day. I'd rather be up, have control over time and routine, as opposed to really be sleeping. That leads us into the next thing, which is during that time, try to figure out what really motivates you. You know, for some people, it's fear. Some people, it's anger. Some people, it's just trying to accomplish as much as they can. For me, believe it or not, one thing that really, really motivates me, I hate being embarrassed. I really do. And getting back to the whole time thing of being late, I can remember the handful of times I've showed up here at at my training facility where I was actually late for a session. And I can still think back to one or two times, and literally I was mortified. So embarrassment is something that kind of motivates me. I'm not going to say it's going to motivate you. Again, for other people, it's fear. Some people, it's anger. But really, figure it out. And maybe during that routine where you're sitting with your own thoughts, figure out what really motivates you. Not what motivates, Rich Sadiv or Jeff Van Noe, but what really motivates you. A lot of these things, yeah, I think everyone has the same things they have to accomplish, but how you get there is probably going to vary. You have to figure out how it fits into your day, into your personality, into who you are. Leads us into number 4, don't compromise. Don't compromise who you are. If anger is what motivates you, or fear or embarrassment, hey, own up to it. Hey, that's who I am. Don't tell me how I should be motivated. Don't tell me what I should really be thinking. This is who I am. I'm very comfortable in who I am. And that's the way I lead my life. I think what happens a lot of times, people in today's day and age, they try to fit into a certain script, so to speak. If I'm a round peg, I go into a round hole. Hey, it feels like, well, if the peg is square, I'm going to try to bang myself into it. Now, don't compromise. Be who you are. Be comfortable in who you are, and then be the best that you can be at that. Again, it all kind of fits into the routine and figuring out what motivates you. Gets us into number 5. Fill your lanes. If you look at a Olympic track, there's 8 lanes on a track. Each one of those lanes should be filled with a person who you can count on, who maybe you look to for advice, but most importantly, it's a person who has your best interest in mind, not theirs. So if you look at your 8 lanes, you have one of them. Be the best you can in what you do. Don't try to be the master. Don't try to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. Definitely a lot of that going on. So be in your lane, then figure out the other 7 lanes. Try to pick up these pieces as you go along. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be easy. Finding 7 people that have your best interest in mind, especially subject matter experts, might be trickier than it seems. But you'll figure it out pretty soon. The Portuguese have an expression that goes, if you hang around with bats, you end up sleeping upside down. So try to surround yourself with people who don't have their best interest in mind, but have your best interest in mind. If you say to them, no, I don't want to go out tonight because I have an early meeting tomorrow, if they try to convince you to do something you don't want to do, it's probably a person you don't want being in one of these lanes. Again, it's fill your lanes, find people you look up to, find people that you respect, and vice versa, they respect you for your opinion and for your wisdom. So now you're obligated to them, and you're the best in your lane. Especially in what I do, I know like a lot of track analogies. I do see a lot of people crossing over who think they could train or do anything in every specific field, which for the most part isn't true. And find the subject matter experts, find people you can count on, find people you can trust. And once again, find people who have your best interest in mind. Now it'd be, I need to go to number 6. It's something very close and dear to me, something that I found has been a really big part of, if you want to say I have had success, is movement. Find some way to move. If it's weight training, if it's walking, if it's running, find some form of exercise. You want to have a strong body and a strong mind. I think without having a strong body, the mind eventually is going to go on you. I think it's very, very important to find a nice balance in those 168 hours to find time to exercise. There's always time. If it's 45 minutes a day, every other day, one thing I hate is when people say, I don't have time to do that. I think that's just a cop out. I think it's crucial. It's been crucial to my success. A lot of the people that I've trained, here at the facility, I find the more successful they are, they find time to get the training in. These people, hey, they're busy just like we are. They're successful people. They found 5 hours out of the 168 to do some type of training. Movement is crucial to your success, both physically and mentally. So find time to exercise both your body and your mind. I also like to do puzzles just to keep my mind nice and sharp along with my movement. But exercise is definitely a big part of what I do. I kind of try to link exercise up with some type of competitive, endeavor. Hey, I want to run a 6-minute mile. I want to run a 5K under 20 minutes. I want to deadlift 600 pounds, whatever it might be. Also helps keep me, sharp, both mentally and physically. All this then now leads to probably the most important point. And this is something that's probably taken me a long time to figure out. So all 6 of these things, every day you do something. Probably the most crucial thing that you need to discover or figure out what brings you joy. Once you figure out what brings you joy, doing no matter what it is will become easy. Now, you don't work from joy back, you work towards joy. And I would say this, for most of us, no matter what form of joy we find, if it's travel, if it's exercise, hey, if it's sitting home watching Netflix, you have to have a certain amount of financial wherewithal. Money doesn't cure all ills, but it certainly makes it a lot easier having money than it doesn't to be joyful. So look at everything that you do, and it should basically pyramid up towards joy. And you'll find that getting up an extra hour early, having a set routine, finding what motivates you, not compromising your faith and your beliefs, finding these 7 people that you can rely on, exercising 5 to 6 times per week, become very, very easy. Because once you're able to accomplish all that and you figure out, wow, that really makes me happy, then nothing becomes, wow, I don't have enough of time. I can't get that done. Everything then becomes, I don't want to say easy because nothing really is easy. It does make it manageable. Because we like to say, if Jeff could back me up on this, it's always going to be hard. You just get better at it. That's all I got, Jeff.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate all that. So again, I wanted everybody to understand, who Coach is. So Coach, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but Coach is going for a really impressive deadlift pull. And Coach, I believe your best all-time deadlift was 694.1 pounds.
Yeah, just about, somewhere around there. It's just one of the things. Again, I like it because it's an objective thing to go after. I found that in training, you should always have something objective to work towards. Makes things a little bit easier.
Coach, how much did you weigh when you pulled that type of weight?
Like 190 pounds.
So Coach was 190 pounds. And how old were you when you pulled that weight?
I was 45.
45. And now you're how old?
58.
58. And you just pulled how much in the deadlift yesterday morning?
545.
545 pounds. So guys, the reason why I'm bringing Coach on to set the tone for this is, Coach defies a lot of too old, not strong enough, people saying, all these crazy things as you get older. And he's kind of set his own path and set his own lane. He's become a very close friend of mine. So I want you guys to all follow him on Instagram. But Coach, I really want you to, I know you got to jump off quickly. I want you to set a goal and then work backwards how you unwind that goal. And I want you to tell people how you set a realistic goal and how you stay committed to that goal over that time frame. If you could touch on that briefly.
Well, I think it goes back to, like you bring up the deadlift, and there's times it's going to sound crazy. I get away from the lift, but I find when I do the lift, I'm successful at it. It brings me a lot of joy. And it might sound, I'm hoping I'm not sounding crazy, but really quick, Saturday I was feeling, it was a real long very arduous week, a lot going on like everyone else does. And when I'm able to lift heavy weight, it just changes my mood and makes me feel good. So I look at something like that, something as objective as that. It's a very objective goal. For me, it's the deadlift. For you, it could be making, hey, I want to make $1 million. I want to sell 10 homes. I want to do this. Find something that's objective you could tie to, that if you accomplish it, you're going to feel, wow, I feel great. There's no other feeling I feel better than making $1 million, selling 10 homes, doing whatever it is. Make it objective, and it has to be your goal. You can't fake it. And then we talk about social media. Obviously, I'm 58, so the social media, as you see, I can't even get on Zoom properly. Struggle here. But I found with social media, the big thing is you should use that to trumpet your success. Trumpet objective successes. Don't, hey, if you do the sale, if whatever it is, if it's your success, put it out there to the world. But I hate to use this word, don't be a fraud, don't be an imposter. Use it to basically say, hey, this is what I did. Here I am. I'm proud of what I've done. So it has to be something that's specific. To me, it's the lift. If it's a run, whatever it is, it's very, very objective. And, I do fall in love with the numbers a lot. I do chase numbers. But I found for me, again, brings me a lot of joy.
So you would say joy is actually your target?
Yeah, it's incredible. I just figured this out recently. My wife, I've been married 33 years. My wife, she always tells me about throwing stuff out. And she goes, go in your closet, look at your clothes, and this is what you rub it up against if you're going to keep it or not. Does it bring you joy? At first I thought she was crazy. What are you talking about? Now I kind of get it. Yeah, hey, you know what? I don't want to wear that anymore. I donate it to charity. Wow, I really like that. I remember when I wore that last, I had a really good time, So yeah, I understand the importance of rubbing things up against the mirror of joy.
Interesting. Very good. Coach, I don't know if you have time for maybe one or two questions from people
sure.
on
I pushed back my 12:15, 12:30. So
appreciate it. So guys, we have about 12 minutes for questions. If anybody wants to ask a question, feel free to take yourself off mute. Again, Coach Rich is very accomplished in many different facets of life. Somebody that I consider to be my constant, my rock. So if you know that someone in my world is my constant and my rock, I hope you guys would respect and appreciate that as well. So if anybody has any questions, please take yourself off mute and ask Coach Rich any questions you may have. Business, personal, training, routine, regiment. He's a wealth of knowledge. So if you guys can do that, that would be great. Hopefully they can figure out how to take themselves off mute, Coach.
That'd be me. That'd be my issue.
Ralph, you got a question for Coach Rich? I know you know him pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, more just a commentary. Like Jeff, Rich is kind of my one guide in life at this point now. That's somebody that I still look at as a peer, but also as somebody I look up to that I follow, just because I'm in my 40s now and he's doing stuff that I want to be able to do in my 50s. And he's doing a lot of that stuff better than I do in my 40s still. So it gives me it's good to have people around you that are consistent every single day. And they're showing you that the success and the things you're doing now, if you just keep doing them. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Well, I appreciate that, Ralph. And, likewise. And I think one of the biggest takeaways besides the joy part is, find people that you can look up to, people you can strive to be like. Don't let people bring you down. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, this is bad. Oh, I got no time. Again, you end up sleeping upside down then. Surround yourself with winners. Surround yourself with people who are optimistic. Surround yourself with people you want to be like. And I feel the same way about you. I feel the same way about Jeff.
Yeah, super important. Greg Morgan, I'm going to call you out here, see if you're even paying attention. If you're sleeping, I want you to take yourself off.
I'm here.
There you go. I want you to ask Coach Rich. I know you have some questions. I know routine is one of the things you're obviously working on as you scale your business. What questions do you have where Coach Rich could potentially help you out or put you on the right direction?
I would say, Coach, the one thing that always happens is we always have a schedule in mind. We write it down. We say we're going to follow it, and it's always based on a perfect day, right? But then, the larger you scale your business and the more responsibilities you have, some things come up, right? So I guess my main concern is that every time I have a schedule, things come up. I want to have like a backup plan as to how do you adapt to sticking with your right schedule, but also handling things when they come in that are important. Is there a priority list that you have? Is there, like a plan B type of list, or do you simply just say, no matter what comes up, I'm sticking to the schedule and I'll figure out the rest later?
Well, it's a great question because obviously, the business here is pretty large and stuff happens here all the time, Greg.
Yeah.
What I usually do is I say to myself, okay, who can I delegate this to?
Right.
There has to be some type of delegation priority list. Okay, if the toilets get backed up, who gets the call? Okay, if the roof is leaking, where do I go? If the parking lot is being renovated and I didn't know about it, what do I do? So there has to be, in your mind, there has to be a list, and that has to be mental. Okay, where do I go? What's the diagram look like if this happens? So there always has to be a plan B, because as you know, the bigger the business gets, the more plan Bs you see every day. But what I also like to do is, and like today I might have made a little bit of an error, so shame on me. I don't like scheduling like hard appointments back to back to back to back, because that's just a plan to fail. It's like you just said, something is going to come up. So like today, for instance, I have like 3 or 4 consecutive hours kind of back to back to back to back. So now something comes up, then it's like, okay, I have to take care of these clients first. They're the priority. They're the ones who basically keeping the power on. Something happens, then I got to kind of like really, really act quickly on my feet. So one of the things I didn't talk about is experience. After a while, the longer you're in business, the longer you own buildings, have operations, the more opportunity you have to see things go wrong. When I was in my previous life, I ran very large operations that you name it, it happened. So it became like, wow, if this happens, now I know this is what I have to do. So that definitely comes with experience, keeping a cool head. And Jeff always walks me through this. If your first reaction can't be fly off the handle. You always got to be cool under pressure.
For those that know me, you guys can't believe I actually say that, right? Coach said earlier, I know the right things to do at times, but can we execute on them, right, Coach?
Right. It's like, hey, I need somebody to turn on the Zoom monitor, or I need somebody to turn this on, or, well, obviously you can do it. Why are you asking me? I own this business.
That didn't happen anytime recently, did it, Coach?
Nah.
Yeah. I just got to follow up with that, if you don't mind. So I guess my question would be, would it make more sense for when I'm making my schedule to kind of make 2 schedules, make a schedule? And I just so you know, I always try to make my schedule the night before, like the end of the day, I write my note for the next day, because then you walk in, you already know what you're doing, you're 5 steps ahead. Would it be better to, as a branch manager and everything, write up a schedule of tasks that need to be done that are going to be done by me, and then write up a schedule of tasks that need to be done by my team, and then delegate it to a certain person in that regard? Because I feel like that would make my task sheet go down to be much smaller. It might be 2 items to do for the day rather than 7. Would that make more sense, or do you think that's just too complicated?
Oh, I think you used the key word. That's delegate. Now, I've never met you, but I'm going to say you probably have the same problem I have, is letting go of some tasks that we need to let go of.
100%.
And, that's, again, that's one thing Jeff and Ralph have helped me with is, hey, you got to understand that you can't be mopping the floor. It's great that you show the rest of the workforce you're willing to do anything. You're willing to pitch in when it's needed, but that can't be your primary function. Hey, if the toilet's over leak, your first reaction should be, hey, where's the mop? It should be, okay, who am I going to call the mop? So again, I'm not beneath mopping the floor, but there has to be some type of delegation involved. And I think that's one of the things a lot of people who've kind of worked their way up, as I know Ralph has, Jeff has, I'm going to assume you have also, we have a hard time delegating. Because sometimes in our mind, we feel if something needs to get done right, there's only one person for the job, and that's us, which is a poor way to think.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, just comes with the territory. I've been a lot better at letting go, but I think there's a difference between letting go and letting go effectively.
Oh my gosh, you just said a mouthful there. That is so accurate. It's definitely a skill. And one of the words I left off of this list, because I try to keep it to 7, but if there was an 8th word, it would be experience. I think the more experience you garner, the better ability you have of understanding what you can let go of effectively. And it definitely is definitely a skill. And boy, I'm almost reminded of that every single day. Again, that's why I like getting up. That's why I like getting up early, because I'll sit with myself and be like, hey, Rich, you got to be more effective at it. Like, you can't run to every single time there's a little smoke. Hey, if there's a fire, hey, yeah. But if there's a little bit of smoke, don't be putting on the suit and getting the hose.
Yep, exactly.
Does anybody else have any questions? If there's any women on here, I'd love to have you guys ask a question. Obviously, we're in a very, male-dominated industry, right, and world at some points. If there's any women that can want to take yourself off mute and ask Coach a question, he usually gives very, very solid, correct advice. He's married for 30 plus years, has 2 very successful daughters. So if anybody has any questions, please take yourself off mute. Irina, go ahead.
Hi. So I have a few questions, but I'll just start with one. When Coach was talking about deadlifts, that really resonated with me because for most of my life, that has, brought me like a ton of joy. But there's something that's been going on where I feel like I've had to back off the running and the deadlifts and all that. And I thought it was going to be like a quick fix with PT, but, he keeps telling me to be patient, but after 3.5 months in PT, I'm still nowhere near I thought I would be at this point. And so I'm just curious if Coach has had any similar stumbles, let's say, with his workout practice and how he's managed to get through that and what has helped him to get.
I think Coach is going to go first, and Ralph can go second on that, and then I'll go third, just so you guys can get 3 strikes on this one. Go ahead, Coach.
Right. It's a very, very good question, and really you have to. This is kind of like how you work back from joy. You work back from recovery, and right now I'm, I try to become the slave to many masters, and I started getting Ralph really got me into the running. I started doing competitive 5Ks, 3,000 meter indoor, and I started mixing in the heavy deadlifts, heavy back squat, and heavy bench press. And I found, boy, it was a lot to mix in. So I'm really now just trying to pick my poison, so to speak. But the big thing is recovery. So right now I'm doing cryotherapy twice a week, dry needling twice a week. I have a really good therapist group here in the facility, and I really manage my recovery. I have a sauna in my house. I take whirlpool baths like twice a week, and I follow a real strict eating regimen, which is based on time restricted eating. And for the most part, I follow a vegan lifestyle. So as I've gotten to the point where I am at 58, and I still want to lift heavy because it brings me a lot of joy, I found that everything else has to be 100% in line. And what I've really become is an expert on my own self. When do I have to back down? When do I have to go for therapies? When do I have to stop? Or when can I push forward? So it definitely comes with experience. But with the running and the heavy lifting, it could be the body sometimes just won't cooperate. But figure out like what is, hey, I can't do it, and what is, hey, I can work through this. But really, you got to get the recovery really in line.
Irina, where are you located?
I'm in Denver.
In Denver, Colorado?
Yeah.
Coach, you got some contacts out there, right, for recovery?
Yeah, Greg's out
love
there.
That.
Yeah, I can get your contact out there. He's pretty innovative, to say the least.
Really? Okay, that would be awesome.
Irina, Coach also is big into mindset too. So again, if you ever needed him offline, I'm sure he'd be more than willing to help you out with some maybe virtual coaching. Coach, obviously, you can let them know also what you do from an accountability standpoint. I think it's very important, to have you in their corner. So feel free to do that.
All right, I got to jump off. I got 30 seconds down to the floor. Great meeting everybody. Good luck.
Thanks, Coach. Ralph, you're up for that. You can answer Irina's question as well.
Contact information with everybody.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ralph, if you want to share, what you do when you can't run or can't lift as much, and how you recover mentally and then physically.
First of all, I'm a big baby when that happens most of the time, because and I can't do anything that day. It's not it's bad for me. I really need the movement in the morning, but you know, like Rich said, the older I get, the more I need the recovery. So the first thing that I really try to do is find what works for me. Now, Rich mentioned like a bunch of different things, cryo, which I've done, which would work for me. I sit in recovery boots. I do a bunch of different things, but I think the key really is to find what's best for you and what your pains and injuries are with that stuff. But you really have to work as hard on maintaining and recovering from stuff as you do on the exercise, unfortunately. And I think that's the hard part. I think a lot of us slack off on taking care of ourselves, and we have that mentality, just push through. It's not that bad. It'll heal on, it's definitely heal on its own when it's better. So I've been better about, if I have to get up and do something, because I really personally have to get up and do something every single day, I'll just walk. And I'll try to give myself a 2 or 3 days. A big, huge part of recovery too, which I'm trying to be better about, is sleep. I think that none of us sleep enough. And I think that we recover the most and we do the best for our bodies when we sleep more. So I try to, if I'm dealing with something, whether it's mental stress or physical stress, I try to prioritize some kind of sleep. And for me, I usually get up at a certain time so that it's easier for me to make myself go to bed earlier, and try to prioritize sleep. And I find that I recover a lot faster when I try to prioritize stuff like that. So that's kind of the stuff I do. But I think the most important thing is to find out what works for you, because what works for me and for Rich may not work for you either. So I think don't just take somebody's advice, really kind of search out what is the best method for you.
I think, you know, again, tying this in, so for anyone that doesn't know, I met Ralph back in 2013, so 9 years ago, almost to the day. And I watched Ralph go from, you know, 60 million to 100 million to 200 million to $400 million. And I believe last year, he finished up his mortgage division at $1.9 billion, right? So I purposely brought Ralph on, asked him to join and be a part of this call to kind of share in his success, sharing his secrets, sharing his mentality, and share how he gets back on routine, you know, potentially when people fall off routine, right? So there's a big parallel between weightlifting, training, working out, being physically fit and on a good diet, and the mortgage business, right? There's highs, there's lows, there's curveballs. So Ralph, why don't you touch on a little bit about your background, how you were able to scale your business still while maintaining your health, fitness, and, you know, interpersonal relationship. I think it's very valuable.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that I've been in the business since 2001. So I've seen kind of the ups and downs of it. And now is an interesting time for real estate and mortgages and stocks or whatever you're in, right? Like today's one of those trying days. But I think for me, more than anything, and this is really meant to be a compliment to Jeff. So we talked last week and he said, hey, you know, we've done a lot of stuff together. Why haven't we done more together? And I said to Jeff, I said, a lot of the time, Jeff's a great visionary on what's going to be next. But I'm somebody who needs to do consistently the same thing every single day. So I need people like Jeff in my life to talk to me about what's next, or I get lost in just doing the same routine every single day. So I've done a lot just by holding myself accountable to be very, very scheduled every single day, at least for the first 4 or 5 hours of my day. So I get up at 4:45. I try to relax 15 minutes. I'm working out within like 30 minutes, and I listen to audiobooks either while I'm running or I'm training every single morning. But like the first 3 or 4 hours of my day are the same every single day, no matter what. So it kind of prepares me for the rest of the day and what comes on next. And it really prepares me in this business because in mortgages or real estate or whatever you're going to have to do, like Rich kind of said, like there's a lot of curveballs that come throughout the day, but I'm very, very centered by the time that stuff starts happening. So by 9 or 10 o'clock, I'm already, 4 hours in, and I'm very like level and I know what's going to happen for the day. And I've done a lot of the hard stuff already. So by the time I start getting attacked with the other stuff, I really can focus on, that and give it my full attention and not have to go backwards where I'm behind on so much stuff and I have to catch up. The thing that I can tell you about from the business sense of it, which has helped me scale my business the fastest, is that I've gotten to a place where I can work on my business and not just in my business every single day. So a lot of the times when we're not scheduled out or we're not holding ourselves accountable to certain things, we work in the business every single day, kind of like Greg was talking about he struggles with, where you just kind of work on busy work and you're not working on your business. So between having people around me that help me, having accountability partners, having a schedule, I make sure I have time every single day to work on the greater good of the business, the future of the business, the scaling of the business, and what's coming next, and not just working on my busy work every single day. Because when I just did that every single day, one, I was less satisfied with my job. I was definitely less happy. And two, nothing was really growing. I was just maintaining every single year. I was doing the same business year after year after year because I was just doing the grinding part of it and I was never doing the planning part of it. So now I make sure I have time every single day to work on the planning aspect of what's next. What can I do to be better? What can we do to expand? And this year has been an interesting year because the last 2 years were kind of fantasy world where I just had to get up and come to work every single day. And I kind of grew naturally. And I talk about this a lot and actually have a book coming out about it called The Growth Trap. And we kind of go through all these growth traps, right? Where we get, from the ages of like infancy to 18, we get bigger, we get stronger, we get smarter, we get better at everything naturally. And then we get to a point in our lives where it doesn't happen naturally anymore. And we have to push through certain things to get it. We have to push through that trap, right? That growth trap to get to the next level. And I go through growth traps every week, every month, every year, and it's something new, right? Where I get to a point where like, well, this was easy or this is different. Well, how do I change it? So I try to become more and more self-aware of where my limitations are and what I have to do to work on next to kind of get to the next step. And today's a good example of it. Like I woke up today and stock market's down a ton and crypto's down a ton and mortgage rates are up. Like it's like a trifecta, right? All the bad things for my business are happening in one day. So then what do I do now? Well, for me, like I'll literally go back to this on days like this. I'll go back to the history of what's happened in the past, what's going on with in the present, and then I try to make a plan for the future, right? So like I can compare what's happening this year to year 2000 and the year 2005, and there's parts in history that I can go back and like look at how I dealt with things then, what historically was going on, and what I'm going to do next. So what I figured out now is that I'm looking for a place of stability right now in everything, right? Like I just want to get to a place where things are stable again. And I think that a lot will make sense in the world again. But what's going to happen between now and then is what I have to plan for. So now I'm starting to make a plan for over the next few months of instability. How am I going to get myself through it so I can get to the part where it's stable again and I can get back to normal? And that's how I kind of treat each day.
Super important. I mean, obviously volatility, most people don't have the stomach for anything, let alone volatility, right? I mean, I think a lot of people sat back and, like you said, lived in this fantasy world, right? In the past 2 years, yeah, COVID happened, but everyone's bank accounts were up, income was most likely up, free money was out there, right? It was kind of like, hey, let the kids play for 24 months, right? Now gas prices are up, right? Rates are up. Like you said, stocks are getting crushed, crypto's getting crushed. Like the only stability right now, at least I know, like, I like chaos a little bit, right? I kind of thrive in chaos.
Yeah.
But, it's funny, like my hard money business, my hard money business is still returning me 1% per month, regardless of what anything does, right? So it's kind of like, what piece of your life do you have stability in, right? Is it your family life, right? Is it your kids? Is it things that maybe your kids can be volatile, right? Every once in a while, and you have 2 kids, obviously it makes it a little bit more challenging, but you're so right. Like, how do you get back to stability, right? And for me, like I told Coach this morning, like if I'm not up by 5 o'clock on Monday mornings and I'm not in his facility by 6:30 to have our 7 a.m. workout, my whole day's shot. And it was funny, like I wound up getting home at like 9:30 this morning after I went to Whole Foods, where this lady literally cut me off on the entrance. She was like 10 yards behind me, and I'm pretty fast, as you know. This lady took a cart and like literally was like she was winning a race to like beat me at the Whole Foods. And there was like 3 people in the whole store, right? But I joke because that's me going to my stability of taking control of getting back to the basics, right? So if I can't control anything, I want to be able to control getting up early and getting to the gym before anybody else. Because for me, that puts me in the right mindset. What I want to do, guys, is I want to open up for the next 10 to 12 minutes. Guys, ask Ralph questions. Ralph is a very routine driven individual. If you have questions on how he was able to leave, let's just call it $1 million a year income and scale it up to 2, 3, 4, 5 million personal income, and what made him take that risk of leaving a sure bet where he was to scale his business up to almost $2 billion a year, how he's built his personal brand, what he does in times of turmoil. If anyone wants to take yourself off mute, please go ahead. Feel free to do so. Bill Bullock, this is definitely a great guy. You should be asking questions to. Jason Sink, same guy. You should be asking questions to. Ultra competitive. So if you guys can take yourself off mute and say hello to Ralph and ask questions, let's go ahead and get that going for a little bit.
And Jeff, just along those lines too, I think that exercise for me in the morning is not so much of I love fitness and I need to work out every single day. Like I'm chasing that high in the morning. Like I really chase that exercise high in the morning because I think I need it to fuel the rest of my day. Right. So it's like, I need the high of that in the morning and it gets me motivated to do other things. And I don't feel motivated every single day, but I know that if I don't get that high of something in the morning to get me started, that the rest of my day seems really far off. So I think even that is being part of it, that keeps me stable on days when it's not so stable.
Absolutely. Mr. Rogers, you want to ask Ralph a question?
Roger that.
There you go. Hey, listen, if you don't buy that domain, I'm telling you, I'm buying it and I'm selling it back at 25,000.
I want to buy the domain.
All right.
I want you to buy it and then sell it back to me for 10K.
Deal.
Hey man, Ralph, Jeff, thanks so much for putting this on. I do have a question, and with me being a sort of a neophyte in the mortgage space, I'm always looking for ways to just put myself out there, right? So what were the main, I guess, principles that you used to scale up, from where you were to where you are now? And I just followed you on IG as well. Great page, by the way.
So, that branding was a huge part of me actually going from 200 or 300 million to 2 billion, right? That was, social media was a way that I got comfortable with my own voice. And if I show you some of the stuff from the beginning, the videos, and thank you, Bill, I appreciate you like the content. They were terrible, but it was a matter of me getting comfortable with my own voice and getting more self-aware about who I was, but I wasn't going to do that without practice. So I think a lot of the stuff was, I always come from a point of education. I want to help educate people. And I think if I can do that, I can meet the right people that can help me educate myself better. And then, so from if I was starting over in the business, right, I would definitely get myself comfortable networking. And the easiest way to network at this point is through social media. So I would really be active every single day with network. And this is a good story to tell here. There's a guy I follow, his name is Craig Siegel, and he's a really good follow if you guys want to go follow him. And he's got a big podcast right now. But the reason why Craig's interesting is that he does some sort of it's a form of mental training. But Craig had, I think, 600 or 700 followers like a year and a half ago, and now he has 200,000 followers. And they weren't bought, and they weren't fake, and they weren't anything like that. He just made a conscious effort to build his following, and the way he's done it is really, really simple. And if you follow Craig, you're going to find that out immediately. Craig contacts everybody that he follows right away. He comments on everything you post. He asks questions, he comments, he's very, very interactive on social media, like literally everything. Like if you go look at my post, because it's not a post that Craig, I don't know how he's doing it all, but he does, but he's just interactive in a positive way. And he was able to grow his following from there. And the rest that he does is that he educates. He educates on his own, or he holds a live once a week, kind of like Jeff does. And he brings other people on to educate, and he's just providing value. So I think the easiest way to grow yourself, whether you're new, and Paul, whether you're new in the business or you're in the business for 30 years, it's educating from a place of, this is where I am now. This is what my journey is now. This is what I know now. And if it's stuff that you don't know, then it's, hey, the team I have around me has 25 years experience, and this is what we know. And then I would use that to educate a little further. But I read a ton. I read every single day. I have Apple News and I have Flipboard set up, and I have real estate investing and mortgages and finance set up every single day. So like, if you ask me any question that's going on in the market right now, I probably could give you an answer. And it's just because I'm well-read. It's not because I'm that smart, right? Like I'm just very, very well-read. So I think educating myself every single day, and then in turn using that to educate other people, has probably been my two biggest aspects of networking, which has then helped me grow my business.
Got it. Okay. So networking.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that answered some of your question. And Paul, social media branding in general, just getting people comfortable with my real voice, like being authentic to who I really am, and getting people comfortable with what my real voice is probably been the biggest aspect. And not just the wins, the kind of losses, where I failed, where I've struggled, like all that stuff. But I always talk from a place of where I am in the present. And what I'm struggling with now and what I'm working on now. But I think getting people comfortable with my voice makes it a lot easier when I meet people, or I want to meet people, to have a real conversation with them.
Okay. Ralph, how do you maintain, and I've always said this to you, how do you maintain a first-class brand, the first-class everything? Like, you're not somebody, that does things half-assed. You're somebody that does things the right way. How are you able to maintain that and not feel the pressure in today's reactive world we live in? I think that could help a lot of people out, and sharing your mindset on that.
Yeah, so I think every single time I post something, wherever it is, the first question I always ask myself is that if somebody I was doing business with saw this, would they want to do business with me? Would they want to give me more business? And it's literally the first thing I ask every single time. And if that answer is no, or I think it's questionable, then it's not something it's not something I post up. So I think that's how I protect my brand. And I think besides that, it's work, right? I came up with a posting strategy that really worked for me originally, where it was like, I'm going to make 3 posts a week. One is going to be informational. One is going to be something that's personal to me. And the third one is going to be educational through video. And then every single week, I would just follow that strategy. So I may do 5 educational videos in a day, and I would just stack those because I know on a Wednesday I had to post that video. And then I started to make it easy for myself to post. So I would ask myself that question. I would read. And then most of the stuff I do that I post is me reading and then thinking about what I read and putting my own spin on that. So an article comes out that says, Airbnb is failing, and this is why you don't want to be an Airbnb owner. Okay, fine. I'm going to read that article. I'm going to look at the statistics from it. I'm going to come up with my own theory on what that is, and then I'm going to post a video about what I know about that subject and how I can be educational with it. So
Help you out, Paul?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think again, like really being the expert, and look, early on, you can't put out enough content, right? As you kind of figure out who your audience and who your following is, you know, kind of more or less who you're speaking to. And sometimes less is more, right? Like there are times where I take 2 or 3 weeks off for my own, bucket of social media where like I go from posting 100 times a day to like maybe once or twice a day, right? Depending. And sometimes you go quiet and I get messages like, yo, everything all right? Haven't heard from you in a while. I'm like, no, I posted just not 300 times a day, right? Unfortunately, in this world, we get lost in the noise. Everyone has the same ability to post to Instagram. It's all free. Everyone's an expert. But man, I don't know if you guys have been seeing this. There are a lot of crickets in the market right now, other than, oh, interest rates are up. Oh, the real estate market's going to tank. Oh, crypto's selling off. Oh, stocks are volatile. Yeah, all you're doing is looking at a headline and telling what the facts are. Who's gonna lead us out of this tunnel? That's my question.
That's a good point too. And Paul, just a follow up to what Jeff just said, and he made me think about it. To your question is, I always want to educate and not alienate. I'm not trying to scare people into freaking out that the sky is falling every single time, right? Like even if it's something that's going on, like there's the negative things that happen. Even if that happens, I want to at least give both sides of it and try to educate about it and not just alienate somebody from my page to say, well, this guy just likes delivering bad news. You know what I mean? Like, so even if it's something that's not positive, I do want to try to give both sides of it and educate about it and not alienate about it. Because I think that sometimes you let people make up their own opinion, but I want to give you enough information so you can make up a real thought process around what your opinion is going to be.
No, that makes sense because we all know the media, their whole design is to polarize fear, negativity, So even even if it is bad news, we can still put a certain spin on it so that it's not the sky is falling. The world's going to end tomorrow.
Ralph, do you want to maybe touch on or share how you've built your built your little Airbnb gold mine for yourself, right? And also your course on that you built to educate others. So obviously Airbnb is a hot market right now. Would you be able to share those 2 things?
Yeah. I've always been a property owner. During COVID, I kind of got, when everything was locked down, when the world was falling for Airbnb and nobody wanted to do it anymore, I started really researching it. And then I started buying properties. And what I realized about it is there was a lot more work, and it is a lot more work, but I make probably 3 times as much in gross income on it than I do on regular rental properties. So over the last 2 years, I've acquired like 15 properties that are strictly short-term rental properties. They're Airbnb properties, and I think I'm in 4 or 5 states with those at this point. It's what's going on right now, probably gives me a little bit of a drawback on that, where as travel slows down a little bit because people have less money to spend, you see some downfall. But there is a lot more upside on those properties with more work. I created a course. It's on the nextrealestategoldrush.com. So it's the nextrealestategoldrush.com. And it's kind of like the ABCs of what I've done for the last 2 years. It's everything I failed at, everything I use, the software I use, the systems I use, the things that I've seen that have not been so good, the things that have been that work, and how I analyze properties and buy them. But I really still like it as a strategy. It's just a matter of buying properties the right way, as far as for the right dollar amount still. But I really like it as an upside strategy. And I haven't personally seen a lot of slowdown yet, although I do think some is coming. I think travel will slow down, obviously. But I like it as a strategy on a go forward, because the reason I like it most is that it's not just Airbnb. My properties are on 6 or 7 different platforms that do short-term rentals. So I like the idea of multiple revenue streams for one strategy. And that's why it really works for me, because I'm not pigeonholed into just, well, if Airbnb crashes their site, then I'm out of business. There's 6 or 7 different places I can put the properties that I can earn on.
Guys, I understand, like, why am I having Ralph share this, right? Ralph runs a $1.9 billion mortgage operation, just bought 15 properties himself in the past 2 years, has Airbnb, is a true entrepreneur, is a real estate entrepreneur, is a rental entrepreneur, right? And it all falls back to the mortgage business. So, like, people are out there like, oh, I need to go get one more conventional loan. Yeah, you do. But what's your next goal? What's your next step of evolution, right? Like, are you going to get caught in that growth trap, or are you going to step outside the box, not only survive, but thrive, right? You can't thrive without surviving. So, yeah, shit, I have no money. Shit, I have no loans. Shit, what am I going to do? Well, you better get associated with people that not have only done it, but done it in different realms of life. Anyone go out there and say, yeah, I made, $200,000 last year in the mortgage business. Yeah, let me see your pay stub year to date, because I guarantee you're off 40 to 80% this year, year over year, right? So if you're trying to get inside of real estate offices, lead with your Airbnb model. Lead with Ralph's course. Lead with Robert's whole entire lending program, who you're going to meet next, okay? Robert's company that I'm going to introduce you to does short-term rental loans on Airbnb properties, right? Yeah. Why am I telling you to learn about non-QM? Why am I telling you to learn about all these other avenues of lending? Because me personally, when the market was flourishing and thriving higher, you know what I did? I walked away from a $500,000 W-2 income. Ralph could tell you this. I went down to making $60,000, $80,000 a year, walked away from making $500,000 a year, every year, year over year, to focus on these other areas of lending, because I knew at some point, some shit was going to hit the market. I knew at some point interest rates were going to rise. I knew at some point people were going to lose their jobs. I knew at some point entrepreneurs needed mortgages. And I wanted to be the guy and the person in the industry to tell people, I got you. I didn't want to be the guy saying, hey, here's my lowest rate. I didn't want to be the person saying, hey, yeah, I did $200 million residential mortgage business last year. You know why? Because in 1 second, like we're seeing now, that faucet can get turned off. And you guys are living through the faucet being turned off.
Yeah.
That's why I introduced you to Ralph. That's why I had Rich set the tone. So this is a perfect segue right into Robert. Robert, if you can take yourself off mute, go ahead and introduce yourself. Guys, I posted the link to Robert's company inside of the chat. Sign up with Robert's company. You don't need to be a licensed affiliate. You need to sign up with that link, and you can immediately start brokering or referring deals to Robert and his company. Max is the #1 rep I've ever dealt with in my 15-year career in the mortgage business. I text him, I bust his balls all the time. He replies to me 24/7. I have over 25 deals right now going on with their company, and you guys can do the math on what somebody can make on 25 deals right now, okay? I have 25 non-QM bridge or short-term rental loans with his company as we speak, all right? So guys, sign up. Robert, you've got the floor.
Great, thanks so much. Hey, Ralph, good stuff. I don't know why we're not doing business together. We need.
You guys are. You're doing it through H2 Capital, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. I'm going to just cover as much ground as I can and open the floor up, take as many questions as I can. I'm going to say right out front, appreciate the kudos to Max. Max DeBoris is one of our loan officers. He's been with us a couple of years now. Really solid individual. It's kind of weird. Jeff kind of gave him a compliment a while back where, hey, he almost always calls me back the same day, which for a lot of you, dealing with somebody who you may not hear back from in the same day may seem kind of weird, but I'll tell you, I can't tell you how often I hear from our clients and our customers and even our competitors, like how often loan officers don't get back to their clients in the same day. And it's somewhat a reflection on how busy the market has been. But Max is really just one of those guys that's super conscientious, and I'm really proud to have him on our team. Again, my name is Robert Greenberg. I'm officially the Chief Marketing Officer. I'm also the Chief Technology Officer. I've also worked for years. I've been in the business about a decade, 10 years, 6 years with this company. I will tell you straight out, I am not a business development guy, and I'm not a loan officer. I know the products fairly well. I know our guidelines fairly well, but I may defer very specific questions to Max in a follow-up conversation, because I'd rather not pretend or try to give you an answer on some specific loan that I'm not truly know the answer to. So I don't do loans every day, but we do a lot of this kind of stuff, work with our customers in all sorts of different ways. This is one of my favorite, be able to talk to a couple dozen people at one time. Everybody presumably is interested in how they can make money in this space. Presumably not everybody's already making money as a broker. So one of the first things I'll tell you straight out, and if you've been brokering conventional stuff, more traditional mortgages, you do not need to have a license in most states. There's only 4 states that even require any kind of licensing for a broker on these deals. These are private money deals, otherwise known as commercial or non-owner occupied. We don't do anything that's owner occupied. Everything we do is for an investment property that is either a short-term, and short-term, when I say short-term, I'm meaning typically 12 months. There is no prepayment penalty. So if a borrower is in our typical loan on a 12-month fix and flip is really 7 or 8 months. So time is money, as they say, and most of our clients are in and out within the 12-month time frame with no prepayment penalty whatsoever. We also do a 30-year product, a long-term rental product. So clients that are holding rentals, typically single-family rentals. It could be small apartment complexes or duplexes or quads or condos or whatnot. We lend on all of that. Again, the caveat being nothing owner occupied. It's all investment property lending. So far I've covered, you do not have to have a license in most states to be involved with this. It may seem weird to get involved because you're so used to, also you can refer us business. And let's see, what else do I want to cover? I think, Jeff, I joined a little bit late. I see in the chat note, there's a gopatchlending.com page. It's called Originator Bootcamp. That's something that we created with Jeff for this week. If you're interested in talking with us and learning more, and I hope that you are, just that would be the best way to get in touch. We'll queue you up. Max, so I think the reason Max is not on the call today is he's taking a day off, so he's not going to get back to you today. One of the rare exceptions.
Robert, I told him I didn't take a day off before I was 30 years old. He's obviously under 30. I said, listen, I don't know what the hell you got going on. I just got to give you 25 deals last month. Yeah. I don't want to hear you taking a day off now, We're
real soft at Patch Lending, real soft. But and again, I'll take questions. Bill chatted me that he's off. Oh, he chatted everyone, but he's already left a message, so that's good to hear. He's still working on his day off, as most of us do.
One thing I want to say is and Robert, sorry to cut you off again. I want to reiterate. So, as you can all imagine, if you guys have been on my calls, and Robert, hopefully you could attest to this. Ralph, you could attest to this. Bill Bullock, you could attest to this. Jason Sink, you could attest to this, right? Anyone that I've really done business with. I'm a very high demanding person, but if I trust you and I like you, I'm the easiest, most loving and caring person, right? So once I know how much I can push somebody to actually do their job, or if you tell me you're going to do something, I hold people to what they tell me they're going to do. And I could 100% in confidence say, Robert, Max, Patch Lending, Ralph included, have not only met my expectations, they've exceeded my expectations where, you know what, if I text them on a Saturday, Sunday, Friday night, I at least know they're going to have the common courtesy to reply to me, hey, I'm busy right now, I'll get back to you tomorrow. And to me, that means everything in this business. I don't have a problem working 24/7. I want to know that my support team has my back when I need them. I think that's an invaluable piece to your puzzle, Robert.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That's yeah, and then we were texting about this weekend. It's just for me personally, and I kind of to talk about this. I think it's this work-life balance, or maybe it's not balance, it's just integrating the two together. So if I've got an hour or a little bit of time over the weekend, I'd rather just knock it out and get it done than just put it off till Monday morning and be that much further behind. So, and I think a lot of guys that work with us feel the same way. I'll tell you, I appreciate what Jeff said. One of the hardest things for any of our loan officers is to deliver bad news, and you guys have it with your clients too. It is, and that's the death wish in this business. If you've got to hold on to bad news and as a result have somebody losing money because they could have got out of something or could have pivoted and done something different, but you were hoping that some miracle was going to happen and you just didn't want to tell them until tomorrow, and then tomorrow becomes the next day, and then by the time you actually deliver the bad news, it's horrible news. So we really strive and impress upon everybody the importance of just rip the Band-Aid off. And obviously deals that are right in the middle of the fairway, which unfortunately there's a lot of stuff that is in the rough. Some people call it, hair on a deal. We deal with a lot of stuff that we can get done, may require an exception. And we, rather than just simply say, no, we can't do that. We work for trying to get the exception through, and that sometimes takes more time, and it sometimes causes some compromise, whether you have to give on leverage or you have to bring some more money to the deal. It's almost always about adjusting for risk. We are truly a private money lender. We're working off of non-bank money. We're adjusting. That's the reason we have money to work with, is we are able to adjust for risk. And so we can get some crazy deals done. In this market, I'm going to tell you, it's not as easy to get a crazy deal done today as it was 3 months ago or even 2 months ago. The 30-year market has gotten very pricey. I mean, at the beginning of the year, we were doing 30-year loans as low as 3.75, which is super competitive to where conventional mortgages were. I know that for a lot of you might have been doing some mortgages down in the 2s for some clients, but for this kind of property, these kinds of deals, to be under 4 I'd never seen it. I've been doing this, like I said, a dozen years. Now it's back up to really 6 or 7. So, I mean, having the market, having our customers who we're used to being able to get a deal at a whole lot cheaper price, and then we're suffering from a lot of shopping around and try to call other lenders and see what happened to that deal, as if we just all of a sudden tried to get greedy. We're in a very competitive business. We try to be competitive on every deal. And so anyway, let me just quickly give you the rundown. As Jeff said,
just so you know, Robert, just so you know, guys, Robert or somebody from his team, maybe even Max, will be on the bridge lending, the non-QM, and the fix and flip lending calls this week, where we actually go into scenarios, products, pricing, and everything else. So Robert's just going to give you the high level today. And then as far as getting nitty gritty, again, if you guys have scenarios, I could work with Robert today if you guys have Q&A. But sorry, Robert, I just wanted to interject and let them know that they will have more of you and your team later on this week.
Yeah, and I know that the focus of all week is kind of to cover different products as we get through the week. And so, yeah, probably Max and I both will join you again on Friday. But as what I wanted to just cover is like what it's like, how hard is it to become a broker with us? And I should probably caveat that it's really not all that hard. And there's different levels of involvement. So I'd say first and foremost, the thing you need to know, you've already got that little link at the very top of the chat box. Will take you to a landing page. It's only asking for 4 pieces of information: your name and your email and your phone. And I think name is a first name and a last name. So that's where I came up with 4. There might be one other question there. I can't picture it at this moment. But so if you'll do that, we'll reach back out to you. You can also go to patchlending.com. Just patchlending.com. Our landing page for this event has a little go in front of it, which indicates it's a landing page. But if you just go to patchlending.com and under the partners section, there's a broker page, and you can get a lot more information on that page. But once you sign up, we have a very it's kind of a simple, somewhat automated system for becoming a broker. The first thing that'll happen once you sign up is you'll get an email from us. I can't remember if it's signed from me or more generically the Patch team or something like that, but it's a automated email. As soon as you fill out that form, what'll happen in this case, when you fill out the Originator Bootcamp form, if that's what you choose to do, you'll get an email from Max, and then we'll subsequently follow up with you on it with the broker agreement.
Guys, I just want to reiterate, you don't want to deal with anybody else but Max, because if Max doesn't get back to you, I got to crack the whip. If you go to anybody else, you're on your own. We can't hold Robert and I responsible.
Yeah. And that would be great, because then also, as you guys network with each other, you kind of know you're having the same experience. You kind of know our team. Also the team that works with Max, the processor, is almost always the same processor on down the road. So you kind of get a real consistent experience. And so what we'll do is we'll follow up with you with a broker agreement. It's a simple 3-page DocuSign agreement. It just lays out how you're going to get paid, and how just a very simple agreement. One of the most important things about that agreement is that when you introduce us to a client of yours, we're saying that we will never do a deal. We will never try to take that client. We attach your name to that client's name. It automatically gets flagged as what we call a do not call account and a do not email. So they
Robert,
will
just
not
to be
see-
clear, if they come back even around and try and go around the person, let's say Bill Bullock refers you Joe Smith. If Joe Smith ever goes back to Patch Lending, Bill Bullock will be due a commission, correct?
That's right. So, and here's how it gets matched up too. So and not to say it's flawless. We've had some issues that we have to, we'll figure it out with you. But like if Joe Smith comes back with either an email or a phone number that matches the one that you gave us when you first introduced us to Joe Smith, the system will flag it as a duplicate. If Joe Smith comes back as Joseph Smith or some different spelling and a different phone number and a different email address, the system won't know that it's a dupe. At some point in the future, when it becomes obvious, that there's a guy that's doing a customer of yours that's doing business directly with us, you just work it out with Max, and we'll dedupe them. But it's in the agreement that with you guys that we will not do business directly with your customer. So we never do that. We take that very, very seriously. If we started screwing over brokers in that respect, we'd have a very short-lived broker community. We treat that really, really seriously. Our systems are set up, and again, they're not flawless. I'm going to just be totally honest with you. If somebody comes back and gives us some people have multiple emails and multiple phone numbers, but in general, their business email or their business phone is typically pretty consistent. So a name and two of those three things have to match identically for us to flag it. So that's very true. Enough on not stealing your business. We're not trying to. We don't want to. We'll work with you if something like that does happen. So,
Robert, you did get a question. What's the difference between a broker and an affiliate, according to Patch Lending? And I put earning capacity. Is that correct?
Yes. As a broker, you can set your points. As a affiliate, we set what you can make on your first deal and then subsequent deals. Mostly, the biggest difference is we have affiliate programs for people like real estate attorneys and realtors and people that are in the ecosystem and know a lot of investors and have the ability to make a virtual handshake type introduction to us. And we'll pay for that introduction, which is, again, a little unusual for the conventional mortgage business. It would be against the law. We would have a whole trouble doing that, but because these are business purpose loans, we can pay for a referral business. But that's the main difference. In a brokerage business, you control the deal, you control the points you make. Obviously, we have to work together when you spec out the deal with us. We're obviously not going to want you charging 4 points and we're making 1.5 points because we're not going to be competitive and we're not going to get the deal done. So we'll work with you on that. I mean, but generally you have to say it's your client. Your client's effectively paying you directly. That's the other important thing. On the affiliate deal, your client wouldn't even necessarily know that you're involved in the deal, because you're really not. It's just a handshake introduction. And that leads me to kind of the next thing on the broker deal. These deals, regardless if it's a long-term rental or a fix and flip or a ground up construction, these deals are a little bit different than, if you've never done a private money loan before, than a conventional mortgage. We do pull background and credit. There are things that disqualify a borrower. Sometimes and experience in this business has become, it's always important, but it's become increasingly important in this market. To get a ground up loan, you're going to have ground up experience, or we just can't get that thing closed. But it's not, we don't really look at tax returns. We don't have the only reason we look at a bank account is for liquidity. If they're trying to come into the deal, we need to make sure that they've got enough liquidity to get through their first construction draw, let's say. Draws are done in arrears on the rehab loans. So but by and large, we're much more concerned. Our underwriting is against the asset. These are often called asset-based loans, if you've heard that expression before, which I feel like probably everybody on this call has. But we care less about the financial situation of the borrower, because a lot of the borrowers in this business, all their money's on the street. They don't have a W-2 income. So it's really hard to qualify these guys, even in a non-QM sense. Non-QM still looks at a lot of the borrowers, their bank accounts, their earnings history, their W-2. So we tend not to look at that sort of stuff. We care more about their experience. And then namely, what's this project look like? Where is this project? What's the likelihood of this, of if they got into trouble and we had to take it over, where are we, would we lose money? Those are the things that typically drive the risk decisions on our loans.
Robert, just so you know, Greg Morgan just joined us again. He's a loan officer at Cardinal Financial. We partner on a lot of deals. Greg Morgan, if you take yourself off mute, how easy was it sending over that first deal for the other Greg that we closed? And then how easy was it, doing your own personal deal? If you could take yourself off mute, Greg Morgan, and explain to everybody what that was like. Obviously you didn't know the process. You had a hot client that needed it. Can you explain that? He might be sleeping again. He usually takes naps between like 12 and 1:30 every day.
It looks like he just disappeared on us, Jeff.
Yeah, so he might come back. But yeah, again, guys, just to be clear, so hopefully Greg's hopping back on. Maybe he had bad service. What I was saying is we literally just closed a deal. Greg sent me the deal. He closed it. We closed it. It was in Atlantic City, New Jersey, in 14 days, start to finish, which is obviously incredible. And then Greg Moore is about to close on his personal deal. Greg, is that you on the iPhone?
No.
Oh, hi, iPhone. All right.
I just saw this link online and I decided to listen.
Oh, appreciate it. Welcome. Well, there's a lot to catch up on. We also recorded it, but what I would highly recommend you doing, Robert works with and is Patch Lending. I just posted the link. You'll be able to sign up and become either a broker or an affiliate with Robert's company, and you could immediately start sending him loan inquiries and scenarios in multitude of loan financing options for real estate outside of your regular FHA, conventional VA, and anything else that you're doing. It's a really great company. And we'll go ahead and obviously record this and post this so you can go back and watch. Greg Morgan, welcome back.
Yo, it keeps disconnecting. I'm sorry about that, Jeff.
Dude,
I don't know
that's all
what's
right.
going on.
We got you a Wi-Fi router. But what I said was, obviously you had sent over a deal for your buddy Greg who purchased the property. Small deal, but we still got it done. And then your own personal deal. Would you be able to share in both of those experiences of the ease and simplicity and the transparency of dealing with Patch?
It's so funny because I just was talking to my attorney like an hour ago about my closing, and I said to him, this was so much easier than if I had done like a traditional mortgage, because it's really just more common sense. I mean, if you have enough money to put down the house, right, and you have enough reserves and you have good credit, right? I mean, generally, it would make sense that a bank or a lender of any sort would feel more comfortable lending you a, relatively smaller mortgage amount, right? I mean, my mortgage amount was around $210,000 after the down payment, So I think it just makes it more simplified. And what that also does is it makes investors more incentivized to keep buying because they had such an easy, fast experience. They can go get better deals. Rentals are at an all-time high right now, right? So why not take advantage of the opportunity? The one reason why people don't is because they feel that it's a strenuous process. So using someone like Patch Lending made it so much easier, especially for me, because you could ask Jeff. I'm all over the place Monday through Friday.
Greg, not for nothing, so everyone knows, because not a lot of people know you yet. What was your volume last year in 2021?
I closed 197 loans personally for $60 million.
Okay, and again, just so we can get personal and get into the weeds, what is your pay stub earnings wise say year to date right now?
Year to date right now, I'm at like 730,000.
So guys, he's a busy residential killer in the market, right? And he still took advantage of these loans because I said, do you really want to go through all these headaches and jumping through hoops? I mean, they literally need your bank statements, your driver's license, the appraisal, title, home insurance, and you can close. And it's been a 2-week process. So guys, like, you can sell these types of loans because they make sense to the busy person, to the entrepreneur.
Yeah, let me riff on that just a second too, because really great. I'm super excited to hear that, Greg, you had a good experience a couple times, maybe it sounds like. And, one of the things I'll say, and I tend to be just, painfully honest at times, if everything were straight in the middle of the fairway, everybody would be having a great experience, right? There's the reason that we have trouble is sometimes we do things in the rough and we try to make some things happen for both our brokers and their clients, that if all we cared about is getting perfect reviews and having really easy to close loans, we would just say no. We would just only stay in the fairway. We probably wouldn't do as much volume, no question about that. but we're not afraid of trying. We will work for you. We will work for our clients and try to get things done. I mean, and again, the market's changing. It's evolving a little bit right now. So it's just what we can do changes a little bit from time to time. And it's getting a little bit rougher, just to be honest. But we do a 10-question survey at the end of every loan. We ask the broker and the borrower to participate. I look at every single response. We get about 40 response rate, 30 to 40%. I mean, so 3 or 4 out of every 10 people that we close a loan with will give us feedback, which is kind of an incredibly high percentage. But then again, these deals this represents a fairly good amount of money to both the broker and the borrower. And so it's not unusual that they want to give you some feedback. And, not all the feedback is as positive as Greg's, but we do get a lot of really great feedback, and it's really important to us. And I think the reason I mentioned that is, like, I look at every single one of these and we take it really seriously, the experience that our customers are having. And like I said, it's not always going to be perfect. I'm sure you guys deal with this stuff every day. It's what it's part of the business. The other thing I wanted to say is that, like, if you're listening and you're kind of thinking, where Greg is, I am really busy. I really don't understand these loans. I don't know that much about them. I don't get calls for these very often. It's just easier to say, no, I don't do it. I would just say, think through that. And the next time you find yourself formulating those thoughts in your head to say, no, I don't do those loans, just say, hey, let me take some information and get back to you, and get in touch with Max, talk it through. Some brokers are very comfortable just saying to Max and some of our other loan officers, if you'll take the first call, if you'll call my client, just see what they're doing. If you think it's a deal you can do, I'd be grateful, right? And in some cases, I'm not going to disparage, I haven't met anybody on the call other than Jeff. In some cases, you're better off not being involved in the deal.
Robert, that's what I do. If I have clients that I know are rate sensitive and shopping, I'll just refer it in. I get a very small piece, right? And if I have clients that I know are going to blow up their own deal, I tell them what I'm charging them, and they are more than happy to pay me my fee because they can't go anywhere else.
So that's my take on that, is like, don't say no because you don't have time to learn it and have to worry about all the ins and outs and the documents and everything that they're going to, you can defer that to Max and our processing team and our underwriters. I mean, we will help you get through it. And if I would say, that's what we do. So we would love to work with you. And again, just don't be afraid of it. Different deals are, some are easier to do than others. It's just a matter of what your clients are looking for.
Absolutely. And guys, don't be intimidated by learning a new product. For those of you that don't know Greg Morga, Greg and I met on social media last year sometime. Greg hired me to be his coach. Greg had made over $1 million last year, and he's like, I need a coach. I need help. Greg, you could, feel free to expand on that. Let everyone else know what we're gonna be doing in the future together. But also understand that Greg is busy doing 50 to 60 million plus dollars a year in residential business. He doesn't have the time to sit on an 1.5 hour call to learn other lending products. He's like, I'm making $2 million a year to myself right now, but I understand the value of learning these other lending types, so I don't let money walk out the door, right? So again, keep that in mind, guys. It is overwhelming, but
can I step in real quick? God, no problem. So, thanks, Jeff, for the intro. Another thing, though, is the reason why I asked, Jeff for coaching is because, everything that's happening today is what I was fearful of 18 months ago. It couldn't be this easy for that long. We can't all just make that kind of money and it be that easy forever, right? Something's got to give. And when I saw Jeff posting a lot of his scenarios that he posted, I'm a big, firm believer in thinking outside the box, right? And I've probably said that divergent thinking is the term that you learn in college, right? And Jeff's probably heard me say that term so many times, he's probably rolling his eyes right now when he's on the video, but Jeff is a divergent thinker. He thinks outside of the facade of what is reality. And that's how he gets deals done. And he thinks outside. And I wanted to learn that skill because we're in that territory right now. It is going to be very, very difficult. People are fearful. People are fearful not just about buying homes, but just in their lives with inflation and how much everything costs. The daily person that gets up and has a family and needs to go to work, that gas going up $2 in a couple of months is a big deal for them per gallon. Milk going up is a big deal for them. Their stocks, their 401ks are dissipating, right? The last thing that they're going to be thinking of is buying an in their mind inflated house value home for a rate that is almost 3 points now higher than it was 12 to 18 weeks ago. So how do we keep our business afloat? How do we keep people motivated both on the customer consumer side and, if you have a team on your team side, if you're not looking for different avenues to accomplish the same goals that you were the last 12 to 18 months? That's the way. And that's why I met Jeff. And that's why he introduced me to patch lending. That's why he introduced me to, he introduced me to Re-Verify. Right? Because it's coming out with a solution rather than just trying to survive. We're not trying to survive, we're trying to thrive.
Greg, I'll also talk about briefly again your transition to Cardinal Financial and then like why you bought in and why you saw that bigger picture on what Ralph has created.
The main things that sold me, well, there's multiple things that sold me, but as far as Cardinal as a company, I really I always wanted to go to a company that was focused on their technology and not just saying that they're focused on their technology, actually doing it. Because you talk to any mortgage company right now and they're all saying they're technologically forward. They're not. Most companies are doing the same 10, 15 things and using the same software, just calling it something different than they did 15 years ago. But Cardinal has Octane. And that's their own proprietary system that literally revolutionizes how you do loans. And for somebody like me that's trying to close high volume and continue to do that, 60% of the things I used to have to do in a loan application, I don't have to do anymore. And I could delegate to someone that doesn't even have a lot of experience in putting in loans because Octane does everything for them. So that was a big thing for me. I also see that from a financial side that clearly if everything's being run by Octane, that means they're not paying third parties for their services, which when the cost of a loan is at an all-time high right now, they probably don't have to worry about those expenses as far as everybody else. So when rates are going higher, we might be able to hedge it a little bit. But to be honest with you, they were also gentlemen on the call. I mean, every other person that tried to recruit me, and I'm not trying to talk bad about people, so I won't name specific companies, but everything was negative when I mentioned other competitors. Everything was, they're this, they're that, they don't know what they're doing. Bad stories about them, fearful, you're going to ruin your career. The guys at Cardinal weren't like that. They were just very, very positive thinking, and they were very PC, and I respected that because it meant that to me that they knew that they were confident enough that they didn't have to talk bad about their competitors to win me over. And between that and the technology and just the like-mindedness in the future of mortgages, it made me come over, and I'm happy I did.
Appreciate that. So Robert, if you want to go ahead and you can close this up, I'll give a little quick 2-second thank you to everybody when you're done with whatever you have left. And then we'll see everybody again tomorrow.
Jason asked a question and I've got a great answer for it. So I want to plug with that and then I'll close up. But Jason asked if we provide marketing materials, and we do. That we will make you a free set. We'll give you a web page, an online page that's hosted on our site, but anybody you put in that page is connected to you automatically, is what we call a campaign. And that's again how we keep you updated every month on how many who your clients have been referred to us and what's going on with them. We also will do a flyer for you. We'll put your logo on it, put your contact information, put your phone number. It's got all of our programs so that you can, as clients call you and say, hey, I'm interested in a fix and flip loan. What do you got? You can start the conversation with a flyer that demonstrates that you represent that program. It doesn't have all the answers, but it's got all the highlights. And let's see. So I think that's a flyer. We also have the landing page. And I'm forgetting one other thing, but all we need from you is the name of that you want on the flyer or the landing page, the number, the phone number you want people to use, and the email address that you want us to communicate with you. And and a logo. We'll customize it with a logo. So that's that.
Guys, does anybody? Okay, we're gonna open it up for a couple minutes for questions for Robert. Again, they will be back on the call multiple times this week. But since there's still a lot of people in the room, if anyone wants to take themselves off mute, ask Robert any questions now. Go ahead. You guys got the floor. If you're not making $10,000 a year by sending Robert business, you guys just might as well retire, because it's like taking candy from a baby, and it's a much needed product, multiple products in the marketplace. Anybody? Nobody? You guys all ready for lunch? I gotta call somebody out. Bill Bulk, I know you got questions, Bill. Take yourself off mute. Come on. I know you guys are relaxing down in Georgia right now, but go ahead. I know you got a full people down there. What do you guys got for Bill, for Robert? Anybody? Nobody? Here you go. I'm already signed up. Send me some of that money. What else we got? What else we got coming in? Is there another question there? I think somebody just posted. I don't know what my phone's on. To sign up as a broker, I have to have my branch manager sign up, correct? No, guys, you guys all can sign up individually. You don't have to go through your company. You literally do this 100% on your own. My personal opinion is you open up your own LLC, speak to your accountant, your attorney about it, set up, Maria Mortgages LLC, for example. Hi, Maria. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Robert's a great resource as well, as is Max. As I've said, every single loan officer should have, every single person should have their own LLC set up, get registered with Patch, get going, and get earning. Like, that's 100% my personal opinion. And again, if you guys don't, I'm going to take your business. Greg Morgan's going to take your business. Everyone else that is going to execute on this is going to take your business. Irina, these calls will all be posted to a unique website, but they'll all be on my YouTube. You can just, YouTube Zoom at noon, see all the past episodes as well. There are a ton of good episodes on there. All that stuff leads up to, this boot camp this week, which we're probably going to do something else more creative in the future. But for the time being, we do meet every Wednesday at noon. Obviously not this Wednesday because we will be on this call. These same links will be used every single day for these calls. So just go to zoomatnoon.com, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. These links will pop right up. They'll bring you right into this room. And tomorrow we have a really great session of hard money and bridge lending. A very good friend of mine started in business 25, 30 years ago, manages close to $1 billion, has done close to $1 billion assets under management in the past 24 months. And Robert and his team will be on tomorrow to discuss their institutional bridge lending product, which is absolutely phenomenal. Everybody should learn about hard money and bridge. So Robert, if you have anything else to say, go ahead. If not, We'll see everybody tomorrow.
No, I really appreciate the time. And as Jeff said, I encourage you to make some money in the space. It's there for you.
Anybody else have any questions? Paul, I see you took yourself off mute.
I was going to say thanks for setting this up.
Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you guys all tomorrow. You're a gentleman as always. Roger that. Go buy that domain, or again, I'm going to buy it and lease it back to you for $25K. So that's a sticker price, Paul.
Roger that.
All right, guys. We'll see everybody tomorrow, 12 o'clock sharp.
All right. See you.
Be well.